The movie starts with a preview of the villa, and after a while someone in a distorting voice in the background starts talking about a woman's behavior who you can barely recognize standing in the corner of a pitch-dark room next. The distorting voices are playing in the background continuously, and now the woman starts running, which looks like she is running from one wing of the villa to the other. We can see the woman grabbing a sculpture's head and bringing it close to her chest, and she is holding it firmly in both hands. The distorting always changes into screams and white noises in the background, and the woman falls off the railing. All these activities seem like an event that must have happened in the past. The next scene starts with Evie serving desserts at a conference happening at a posh conference center. Once she is done serving, she goes back to the kitchen and chats with her colleague about the tip she got and how one of the dollar bills has a number written on it. Now both are about to leave, so her colleague named Grace gives her a bag that seems to have Evie's DNA test report in it. Evie goes back to her home. Are you enjoying this video? Click that sexy subscribe button, and is seen doing pottery that looks like her hobby. And once she is done with it, she goes to her bed and listens to her mama's voice note where she is wishing her birthday and appreciates how good of an artist Evie is. Evie is lying on her bed face up and thinking about something when she opens her laptop and watches a Matchfinder advertisement that says, "If you want to know your results, all you need to do is send your DNA test report in the mail and get the results you are looking for." Evie drops off her DNA results in the mailbox while chatting with Grace the following day. Evie receives an email stating that she has a DNA match and that her new cousin, Oliver, will be in New York next week and would like to meet for coffee. Grace disbelieves the match findings and prevents Evie from meeting the stranger. Evie meets her cousin, Oliver, next. Evie agrees. Evie leaves the airport talking to Grace. Oliver greets her upon her arrival. Oliver gives Evie a hearty embrace, and they proceed to the wedding celebration destination, a lovely house. Evie steps back and smacks a roommate holding wine glasses after exiting a Rolls-Royce. A suit-wearing butler enters and lectures the housemaid. Evie blames herself, but the butler lectures that it was the maid's responsibility. Oliver introduces Walter and Evie at their official encounter. The butler who lectured the servants shows Evie to her room in the following scene. The mansion's interior architecture shocks Evie. Evie meets Mrs. Swift, who brings her to a nicer room. Mrs. Swift asks Stevie whether the room is acceptable and shows her a bell to summon the cleaner. Evie sees a lady on the wall. Mrs. Swift tells her the woman was the mansion's previous mistress and has died lately. Evie dreams of fleeing and stopping to find a strange guy in the mansion observing her. She jolts up and leaves her room. Evie walks around the mansion and proceeds to the corridor, where Oliver and the family are waiting for her. Uncle Julius greets Evie and Oliver, welcoming her to the family. Evie and Oliver continue conversing. The butler takes two maids from the kitchen. He brings them to a basement entrance and orders them to put it up. Both maids head downstairs and start working when the room's light flickers and goes out. Strange events follow, and one maid is trapped on the floor. Evie returns to her room and discovers Walter's message and a lovely golden garment hanging on the wall. Evie is on the phone with Grace when something smacks her window. Evie meets the bridesmaids, Victoria and Lucy, during the wedding celebration. Walter arrives at the gathering as a nobleman, revealing himself. Walter then reaches out to Evie, who is standing in the corner around the bar, and takes her hand, which is a surprise for her, and upon her inquiring, she comes to know that he is the Lord. So everyone expects his first dance of the evening. Both started dancing in the middle of the floor, while both of them were engaged in some intimate talks. Soon after, Walter took her hand and took her to a big room that looked like an annex to the mansion, where they stayed and talked. A few more conversations took place, such as Evie asking the Lord if he feels bored at this secluded mansion. In all these conversations, both of them are leaning on a table corner, and in the background noise of fireworks, they start kissing. In the next scene, we see the Lord greeting all the party attendees and having a chat with Victoria about his personal experience with Evie. Next, We see Evie sleeping in her bed while the dubious things start to happen. Evie wakes up and is startled by the happenings around her. When she looks up and sees a hand poking up the window pane, she gets on the ground and sees shadows on the walls. Walter arrives out of nowhere and soothes her down. Walter asked Stevie if he could stay in her room for the night if she was afraid to sleep alone. So they shared the bed. Evie jumps in between a chitter-chatter with the Lord and wakes up to Victoria and Lucy bombarding her room with a robe in Victoria's hand. Lucy tells Evie that it is a spa day, so she should come along in the spa room, while we see Evie having her manicure. Evie and Victoria ask and answer bizarre questions after Victoria dives into the pool. Evie moves her hand and loses a nail. Victoria jumps out of the water and kisses Evie's finger after Pusher wounds it. Evie returns from the spa. Are you enjoying this video? Click that sexy subscribe button and walks to the drawer to obtain the key to the chamber she was forbidden to enter on her first day at the estate. She drops a file and opens it to see her whole name on it. Next, she is packing in her room. Walter enters and wonders why she is packing. She confronts him with her profile papers. She alleges profiling and stalking and wants to leave, and they kiss, making the scenario even more passionate. The next morning, Walter tells her about a family dinner she has to attend and that the dress she will wear tonight is in her closet. She gets up and goes to the dining hall, where everything is set for dinner and everyone is seated with their party masks on. Walter acknowledges all 4 families present at the table by naming their clans and kissing Evie's hand. The butlers cut the throat of one of the maids and collected all the blood in a bowl, then poured the blood into 3 glasses and served Walter. Walter announces his marriage to Evie and joins all the lost families. All the events transition through Evie's thoughts, even remembering that the woman whose picture hangs in a room is not the previous lady of the mansion, but her great-grandmother Emmeline. As soon as Evie gets a hold of herself, she gets up from the dinner table and runs to the door, where the staff stops her. Evie wants to go home, but the Lord commands Victoria and Lucy to look after her overnight. They inform Evie they are vampires, and their ages are in an underground chamber. They reassure me that V can live eternally as a vampire. Victoria and Lucy locked Evie in a tiny room and screamed. Evie runs from the mansion and runs down the tunnel, which rings all the bells at once, implying odd activity in the basement. Everyone comes up and begins hunting for Evie, including a butler with an axe. Evie leaves the mansion, but seeing everyone trying to find her, she hides in the wooden store outside the mansion. A man comes in, throws a body in, and as he approaches the door to leave, he hears a dampened hiccup of Evie and starts to search the store. Evie comes out of the corner and runs towards the store, leaving the room while the man is still inside and locking him in. Evie finds it suspicious, stops drinking the tea, and tries to flee that house, but the woman attacks her from behind, and she falls to the floor unconscious. In the next scene, we see Evie lying in bed, and Walter is already there, applauding her running attempt, but saying it is all in vain because she will never leave. She faints again, and in the next scene, Walter Evie walks down the aisle. Walter and Evie marry, and Walter asks Evie to swallow his wrist blood to become a vampire. Evie puts a pot of fire on the ground, lighting the sanctuary. She then stabs Walter and flees into the corridor, where she confronts Victoria and kills her with Lucy's aid. She flees inside the sanctuary after murdering Butler. The end. Time for some sexy slow-mo. Did you enjoy the video? Click that sexy subscribe button. Now click this video. Don't miss its shocking and sexy ending.